Let's talk 10 minutes. Can PlayStation's Game Pass, codenamed Spartacus, compete with Microsoft's Game Pass? Let's put 10 minutes on the clock, and here we go. All right. For those who don't know, last week in a Bloomberg report from Jason Schreier, they talked about how Sony plans to reveal a 3-tiered subscription service, no doubt to compete with Microsoft's Game Pass. Now, the subscription service is planning to be where the first tier is still going to be the basic PlayStation Plus, which for those who don't know is just including the access to play multiplayer games. Most of them are like that, and get free games monthly. Second tier is going to have the ability to have PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, eventually PlayStation 5 catalog. Third tier is going to have some extended demos and old school games. So think of like how Nintendo Switch has the ability to play Mario 64 emulators and things of that sort. Don't know exactly the details, but that is what codenamed Spartacus plans to do to go up against the juggernaut that seemingly just came out of nowhere from the Microsoft. So that is what we have up for grabs. Now, before we get really into the weeds, I am a PlayStation Sony boy in a sense of like I mainly have been in the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm kind of like a iPhone user for such a long time, but lately now I have an Android. So I play both sides of the ball. I'm not really concerned about who wins who. I'm not a big console war type person. More on that later. In terms of PlayStation, my first PlayStation was the PlayStation 3, which I bought. And that's what I mean. When I bought with my own money, I did have the PlayStation 1. I did have the PlayStation 2, the slim version, all that fat boy. I had all those consoles. But I still remember buying my first PlayStation 3 with my own money. I used my college refund check, which I should not have. And I remember the GameStop guy was like, psst, 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 you got a PlayStation 3 in the back. It was literally like a couple of days after release. I thought I had no chance of getting a new console. I still remember that orchestra opening. It was like, I remember spending a lot of money on Resistance Fallen Man. I've had a PlayStation 4. I now have a PlayStation 5. On the Xbox side of things, I did have the original Xbox. I did have the 360. Did not have the Xbox One. And I do have the Xbox Series X. So I still have lots of experience in different genres, in different fields, so to speak. So I'm a gamer, okay? I love all games. I don't discriminate. But there has been a long history of this console war between the two, Microsoft and Sony. Let me just give you a brief kind of like what happened between the two brands, so to speak. So essentially, when the Xbox 360 came out, because that's when I think that's when the tide began to change. Traditionally, of course, PlayStation being a Japanese company had a long foothold in the gaming space. Microsoft decided to jump into it with the Xbox, or Bill Gates, and they had a good rock review. I still remember that football game the most. For some reason, it was a janky thing, but it was really cool because it felt next level. Anyway, so when the Xbox 360 came out, it totally dominated the PlayStation 3 era. It just destroyed the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 at that time had games, but no one really cared at the same time because the Xbox 360 was just everywhere. It was the cool system to have. It felt like celebrities had it. It looked like all the athletes had it. Had the cool commercials. It was just dominating. Next generation, Xbox One totally botched the reveal. They start talking about being the all-in-one entertainment center. They start talking about being in your living room, and they really didn't put video games first. They wanted to create this little universe with the Xbox One being like its center console, as if it was like a cable box of sorts. Really turned off gamers. No one really cared. That's when the PlayStation 4 came out of nowhere, and they were like, we're about the gamers. You know, we have the ability. You want to go ahead and play this game. You could just take this game. You don't have to have a license, etc., etc., etc. So PlayStation 4 becomes the most sold console that generation, and it's dominated everything. You have millions and millions and millions. So with that kind of footprint in the gaming space, PlayStation 5 starting off the hot start as well. This PlayStation 4 is everywhere. They decide to, all right, let's go ahead and just start gobble up all the AAAs in terms of exclusive maps. They get all the commercials. So you thinking like, hey, Destiny's a PlayStation game, was not true. It's just a game that has just been marketed by PlayStation, that's been allowed by Bungie at the time. And the same goes with the Call of Duty. All of a sudden, the Call of Duty League goes PlayStation only. So now the CDL, everyone just loves PlayStation. And you think of PlayStation when you think of Call of Duty. You think of PlayStation when you think of Destiny. And that is pretty much that generation in a nutshell. And at the same time, PlayStation is producing big award-winning single players out there that everyone knows and love. Especially Naughty Dog. Let's go. Whoop, whoop. Naughty Dog dominating with their award-winning games like the Uncharted 4 and Last of Us. All that is happening. And all of a sudden, Xbox just kind of fades away, into the background as if it was like, well, I had a good run. Granted, listen, hear me out. I know there's a lot of Xbox and PlayStation diehard fans that just don't care. They don't care about what the other person says, but just hear me out here for a second. Suddenly, Xbox began to make its moves. Xbox had a lot of stealth moves here and there. They started adding backwards compatibility to their consoles. You have access to a huge library. They start making consumer-friendly approach moves. And then one of those, that stealth move, was the Game Pass. The Game Pass is kind of touted as is the Netflix for gamers. You have the ability to pay a subscription fee and get access to a whole slew of games. And you have the ability to get new games when they launch. So they had this for like a year or so, and you get State of Decay, and all the other PlayStation people are just like, it's just State of Decay. But this generation, that stealth move, that chess move that happened like 20 moves back, that butterfly effect, out of nowhere starts not profiting, but starts making big movement. A lot of money is still being invested by Microsoft. Microsoft has already said in previous interviews that is technically losing money in these investments because you're essentially giving your game away, quote unquote, for free. And these major publishers are getting paid possibly by Microsoft. Usually when a game comes to the PlayStation Plus, if a game is free, PlayStation pays that said developer to be on the PlayStation Plus. It's a big gamble on all sides. But back to my point. So Xbox Game Pass, or the Game Pass, is dominating. They have over 10 million subscribers. And how many of those are paying or how many not? But regardless, it's about $10 per subscription. And that is just for the Game Pass at this time. And you got to remember, I feel like PlayStation saw these moves and they could not figure a way. They were trying to catch up with them with cloud-based gaming. Remember, PlayStation had PlayStation TV, didn't really do well. They have PlayStation Now, it's not really doing that well. It's not that great. A lot of latency, things of that sort. They end up buying a cloud-based video game service to try to make the PlayStation Now better. It's not that great. So now they're here with Spartacus. And I feel like PlayStation is now behind here, but it's not behind yet into the media, or the public eye, so to speak. If you were just a casual gamer, you wouldn't understand these moves are being made, but they are already being made, and PlayStation already sees that, and they feel like they're falling behind. And PlayStation already saw this because right when the PlayStation 5 launched, I don't know if you remember, the PlayStation Plus collection was announced. You had about 15, 12 games or so. Some of them were like The Last of Us Remastered. They were very popular PlayStation 4 games, essentially for free on PlayStation 5, just to help you out. But is that enough? Is it too late? Is the question I have for you as a gamer. So you could definitely comment in the comment down below. Because I feel like PlayStation now is stepping up to the plate, but we don't know what the whole gist of it is. I would say the big thing that makes the Game Pass so successful is the day one games. You are literally going to get the new Halo Infinite campaign on day one with your video game monthly subscription. Already you had Forza, which is a really dope racing game, come out, which feels like for free. You know that vibe. You are on Netflix, you have all these movies. Technically, you have a movie store at your fingertips for like $15, $20 a month. I don't even know how much I pay on Netflix. And I'm just scrolling through the store mindlessly, enjoying it. Now that Netflix has literally blockbuster movies like Red Notice, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot for free. And that is what's going to be happening with Game Pass, folks. For those who don't know, they don't remember, Microsoft has bought some big name studios that have yet to release it. They got the Bethesdas. They have the big franchises for Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. Like all those kinds of things are still in the wings. Fallout, they're still in the wings. Wolfenstein. These are the things that they have in their back pocket, and they're ready to hit and they're ready to strike at a moment's notice, and they have yet to do so. So PlayStation fans, you're gonna need to have day one. You're gonna need your Kratos. You're gonna need your Aloy. You're gonna need your Joel. Too soon. You're going to need your Ellies. You're going to need your franchise, Ratchet & Clank. You're going to need Nathan Drake to be able to compete with the Microsoft Game Pass. Because right now, Game Pass is king. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Checkpoint Podcast. My name is SanchoWest, where I talk about movies, music, video games, all under the sun in 10 minutes. If you like what you hear, like what you see, go ahead and like, share, subscribe here on YouTube. Or if you're listening on podcast services, be sure to rate the episode high and follow. Peace and love, y'all. See y'all next one. Peace, peace.